Welcome back to the channel, everybody. So as the title and thumbnail suggests, there will be a chance to get Lydia's 6-star or below perfect soul in a champion training tournament. Now, this event is going to start Monday, May 19th. You're going to get points, typical champion training ways, levels, ranks, ascending, and skill tomes as well. Now, this is where it gets a little bit not so exciting. It's going to be 1 in 100 players. So first place is going to get the soul, whatever tier you're in. If you're level 31 to 40, you don't have Lydia, but you can still get her soul, and it's still going to be valuable for you because you're going to eventually get her if you continue playing raid, and your bracket may not actually be that difficult to actually get it in because most of those players aren't going to have Lydia. They're not going to be really thinking about Lydia, so they may not even consider this. Now, when you look at the 41 to 60, maybe some players have Lydia. 4-star soul is a decent one to get, but I'd say 5-star and 6-star is really where you want to consider actually going for it. Now, there is a caveat. If you don't reach the point threshold required for it, you could be first place, but still not get the soul. So if you're this level, 7,500 points is what you need, and you can see it increases quite a bit all the way up to level 100, needing 20,000 champion training points. Now, if you're somebody wondering how in the heck you can get 20,000 champion training points, let's go take a look at my champion training calculator. I'll leave a link to this down below. You can basically get a rough idea of how much energy it's going to cost you. So if we need 20,000 points, let's say we had 75 max level rank 3 champions. Let's actually drop it down to 65. There we go, 20,000 points. So we're going to need a total of 195 same rank champions needed to feed. Basically, this is assuming that you have 65 3-star champions. And then, of course, 65 times that 3 number is going to be 195, right? 195. So you're going to feed those 3 into the 1. Each champion, before feeding, you're going to level them up with a few brews. Now, for level 3s, it's going to be 1 brew to level 10. So if you do this efficiently, then to get 20,000 points, you're going to need 9,000 energy or this number of brews. Of course, you can mix and match, but this is just a loose idea of how much you're going to need. So, of course, you actually need to have the champions. That's quite a bit of 3-star champions. You've been pulling shards, most likely, for the Void 2X, so maybe you have quite a bit of 3-star champions not leveled. Though, to be fair, it's 260 3-star champions, and you probably didn't pull that many Void shards. Of course, if you have some 5-star champions laying around, which is something I always suggest having, then you can drop brews into them, and it makes these points a lot easier to get. And if you've been waiting to book a champion out, whether it's your Mikage, your Embrys, your Lamasu, any of those champions, now is a great time to go in there and drop some books. Because if the event has the same points as the typical events do, the typical tournaments, then a mythical skill tome is going to be 500 points. A legendary is going to be 200. So if you're booking out a mythical champion fully, you're going to get 5,000 points just from doing that. Typically, mythicals require 10 books. So 5,000 points, easy, few clicks, is pretty crazy. And if you're booking a legendary, it's also going to be quite a bit of points. Usually you're looking at anywhere between 7 and 15 books for a legendary. If you did 200 times 7, you're looking at 1,400 versus 200 times maybe 2,800, somewhere around there. A decent potential points there. Honestly, epics are going to be a place where you get a lot of this stuff. And with Faction Wars hard mode being in the game currently, and most of us playing it to a point where we get a pretty good feel for it, this is assuming you have Lydia, then you probably notice some champions that you need to level, that you need to book, that maybe you haven't just yet, or maybe you've been kind of waiting. Well, this Monday is going to be an excellent time to do so because you're going to be able to progress further in Faction Wars hard mode. You're going to be able to potentially win Lydia's 5 or even 6-star soul, assuming you're a higher level player, which, to be fair, I wouldn't necessarily say level 60 is a higher level player. This is pretty early to mid game, but definitely level 99 and 100 is pretty far along in the game, right? So picking up those extra champion training points from building your Faction Wars champions that you need to do anyways, it's also going to be during CVC the second day. So on Tuesday, you'll actually be able to pick up some CVC, non-personal rewards points if you push during that. If not, maybe consider putting your points in early on Monday. This event, I believe, is going to last for 96 hours. There was an extra breakdown in the content creator chat. Yeah, so it'll last for 96 hours. So you have a few days to work on this, which is a good thing and a bad thing. It's a bad thing because it's going to be a lot longer period where you have to grind. I don't expect players to go super hard for this though, because it is just a soul, which being just a soul, players aren't going to drop points like they did for Archer, which was pretty crazy. Now, when it comes to Lydia, is she worth getting a soul for? Well, for me, I use her in Hydra, I use her in Chimera, I've used her in dungeon runs, I've used her in Doom Tower. Those areas alone tell me this champion is extremely valuable, and having a soul for her could be good. Now, when we look at the souls, the blessings that could come with it, what would you even be putting on her? Well, first up, just a stat boost. Extra accuracy, she needs that. Extra speed, very valuable for her. And then extra HP as well as defense. All of this is very powerful for a legendary champion that you're using in the utmost in-game content, basically. And then the actual blessings, well, we have Brimstone. This is what I've used on her forever. I don't use her in PvP content, but a 6-star Brimstone, no accuracy required, is awesome. But guess what? Even if it's a 5-star Brimstone, that's fine as well, because you are going to build her with accuracy anyways. So not having the guaranteed is okay. And it's going to be protected, so it can't be stripped. 60% chance, but it's still pretty nice. So things like Amius now become a little bit easier because you have that protected smite that can be placed pretty consistently with a champion who's going to be built with accuracy. But let's say you already have plenty of Brimstone. Cruelty is another very good blessing to throw onto Lydia as well, because it's going to decrease the target's defense by 4% per hit, up to 40% for champions and 20% for bosses. So if you're not having plenty of champions in your teams with a high cruelty blessing, Lydia is an excellent one to throw that onto. I do believe that her 6-star or even 5-star soul is very much worth it. So if you're able to pick it up, that could be awesome. There's also a additional thing you may want to consider, and that is if you already have a 5-star or even a 6-star soul for Lydia, if you are trying to get souls for maybe Marius, like my situation, maybe Embreeze, maybe Carnage, or whatever champions you're going for, just general champions in your account, if you were to get the 6-star soul specifically, you could actually sell it for an Eternal Soulstone. Now, I am definitely on the fence about doing that. Now, I do want to do that, but I also don't want to take the soul from somebody else. So not for sure if I would do that anyways, but I guess it depends on how my tournament's actually playing out. But if you're somebody who, really wants Eternal Soulstones, I don't see anything wrong with that. You can get it and sell it. It may feel a little bit dirty if you do that. It's completely up to you. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it is your account. If you've been saving up for these champion training stuff, then hey, can't really hate on that. You've saved up for it. Get your Eternal Soulstone and pull something better for yourself. For me, I probably won't go for that just because it feels especially kind of weird for me to do that. So I'll probably just pass on it. But it is a potential option you could do. Even the 5-star soul, the 5-star soul wouldn't be worth it. This is $350. It's a third of an Eternal Soulstone, but the 6-star soul could actually be worth it because you're not going to get a second Lydia. You can't get a second Lydia. So if you were to sell it, maybe not a big deal. Maybe try to communicate with somebody in your bracket if you're able to find them on Discord. Hey, are you going for the soul? Okay, do you already have her? Well, maybe just pass it to the other champion if they don't already have the soul for Lydia. Because purchasing it from the soul merchant isn't something I would recommend anybody do. But just because I wouldn't recommend you purchasing her soul, whether it's a 5-star, even especially a 6-star, 5-star maybe not as big of a deal, but definitely not a 6-star. While I wouldn't recommend purchasing that, I would definitely recommend picking it up if you can get it, because it is very valuable. Souls make a big difference on champions, and when there's opportunities to get the 6-star versions, you definitely should try to pick it up whenever possible. But do remember that the points required are going to be pretty high, and if you're going to approach this champion training tournament in hopes to actually win, then you're going to want to plan out what you're going to do. I definitely recommend having some champions you plan to be booking. For me, I already booked Broodlord today, but you could be booking champions like Broodlord who are going to be used in your faction war rooms. This is the best time to do the epic champions. The booking, it's just because you probably have a lot of epic tomes compared to the other stuff. It's a great time to book them, great time to level them, great time to invest in those champions. Look forward a few days in faction wars, a few conditions to see what you need to build for those. Maybe do some Curse City stuff, pick up some gear removal stuff. Maybe you want to do that now. Maybe you want to do that after you already level up the champions and everything. But just something to be mindful of, just something to prepare for. If you want to go for this, I would say either plan to snipe towards the end. Honestly, it's a very risky play and it's a very stressful play. what I always recommend is making sure you're logged out of raid until you're ready to actually log in and start the tournament. Log into the game and you'll get thrown into a tournament, which should be starting around the same time as you're logging in, and then burst a ton of points very quickly. How I would do that is I would come in here, I would look for 5-star champions, champions who I've saved for a long time. I would sort like this, and I would just go through and start throwing in brews into these champions. I have tons of 5-star champions in this account that I could be using for champion training stuff like this. Actually, how many is it? 337. Basically, 337 5-star champions who could be leveled, which is a crazy amount. If I was to take them up to, let's just say 25, well, let's see how many points that would be. So, upgrading a champion's level, let's see, where is it? Upgrade champion's rank, where's it? Okay, levels at the top. 5-star 6 per. Let's say we did 24 levels. So 6 times 24 times 335. I get 48,000 points in the matter of like a few minutes. Basically. Well, not necessarily a few minutes. It'll take a lot of time to click through this stuff, but it'd be like 30 minutes and you have so many points compared to everybody else. It's very daunting looking as soon as you log into the game and seeing somebody at the top already 20,000 plus points. So if you want a potentially fairly easy fight, burst your points early. The other competition will either decide, okay, we're going to push, and you'll see them from a mile away basically climbing up, or they'll just decide, okay, we're going to chill, get the top reward, and their points should just flatline out from there. That's the strategy I like to do. It just requires more time at the beginning, a little bit of prep. Just get your champions organized. Maybe leave your 4-star champions ready to go up. Like, have some 4-star champions leveled up, and then some 4-star level 40s ready to rank up to the next, obviously, 5-star, and then level them up from there. So have some stuff saved up and ready to roll, basically. I have a lot of champions thrown into the vault. Honestly, I need to trim down some of my 3-stars, so I'll probably put some points. I will put some points into this, but I'm not necessarily going for the top reward. But either way, guys, let me know what you think. Let me know what you plan to do. Do you want to get Lydia's 6-star soul? Are you going to push for the 20,000 plus points? It is a lot. It is a lot of points, but it's also very expensive to actually get her soul. It's not a champion event, so there's not going to be as much competition. But either way, best of luck to you guys and going for this if you decide to. Let me know if you would like to see any extra information on this event. But this is the reason why I do a lot of the solo videos, is because during just everyday raid gameplay, you can have your champions soloing content and slowly start working your 3-star champions up to 5-star level 1, throw them in the vault, and just let them chill there until you can drop some brews into them. And then it makes the whole thing easier. So I'll go ahead and drop this link down below. Just go up here, file, make a copy, and you can edit this yourself. Like maybe you have a lot of 3-star champions saved up. It'll give you the numbers you need. But most importantly, in my opinion, it gives you a loose estimate of how much energy you're going to need, assuming you're doing campaign farming, brutal stage 12-3. But guys, best of luck. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.